A very good morning to you, my dear viewer. Welcome to this channel on Bridge Repairers at the Real Self Space. This is a home of self-discovery, fostering emotional well-being and inspiring purpose. So welcome on board. My name is Rina Ndungu, and on today's episode we're talking about self-discovery. As I said, this is a home of self-discovery. So before we go any further, let's talk about this very self-discovery. Self-discovery is a topic that is talked about by so many people. Like all over in the internet, you'll not miss someone talking about self-discovery. And so it's not something new that I'm bringing today. It's not something new that I'm talking about. It is something that we have heard over and over again. But surprisingly, in as much as it is being talked about by so many people, there are so many people also who have not even bothered to know, by the way, what really is it all this about self-discovery? What is it all about? And I want just us to look at it in the very simplest form so that we are able to know now. Have I really self-discovered myself? Right? So self-discovery matters a lot. It matters, and I do say as essential as breath is to life, so is self-discovery to any person living under the sun. It is very crucial for you as a person to self-discover, to understand, because without understanding, without getting, it is a journey actually. Self-discovery is a journey. So without you getting into this journey, life can seemingly be so confusing and so difficult. Yeah. And so why does it matter? It matters because of what it is. Self-discovery is taking a journey into you to know, to know who you are and to be able to answer the question, why am I here? Why am I here in this particular place of space, or rather in this particular part of the world? What is my purpose? What is my function here? So that journey into you, that journey that will unpack your reason for existence, your purpose of being alive, your passions, your interests, your convictions of life. That journey into you that will enable you unpack all this to know why you are here. So that is self-discovery. And it is a journey. You start today, and as you go on, you keep learning more. Every day is a learning day. You don't just get it all at once like that. It is something that you'll keep on learning as days go by. And his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki makes a point and says, when he's talking about matters to do with financial freedom, he makes a point and says that not knowing the law is expensive. And I concur with that statement and say, failing to self-discover is very expensive and very costly. And I'll tell you why, referring to the Bible. On this episode, we shall talk about the Bible. As in my introductory message, I remember I said that we are here to talk about life. And we cannot talk about life or rather restoration without talking about the life giver or the restorer. So I will keep on quoting these scriptures so that to bring the relevance of all this entire thing. So when you read the Bible in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 20, the word of God says that you are bought at a price. So use your body for the glory of God. Now I'm just imagining you going to the market and buying something at a very high price and having no use for it. Definitely that can't be. So God creating you and me and placing us here on earth, definitely he had a purpose for you and me to accomplish before we actually leave because all of us, we are on that journey of living. At one point we shall live. There are those who have already left, and we are on that journey. But before that time comes and you live, at least it will be essential for you to, or rather for us to be able to understand why we came here. And it is very important just to understand why you came here and do that which you are brought here to do. So, and that will only be able to happen if self-discovery is taken with the seriousness it deserves. Therefore, it's upon you and me to make that conscious decision and just say, before those days and times come when the reality of death starts hitting so hard on me that actually I am living, that it will get to that time you are so confident to say, I have run the race, I have fought the fight, and now I'm ready to receive the prize. That should be it for everyone. However, most of the time it doesn't happen that way. You realize that time comes and it is when people get into despair. They're like, oh my God, I have wasted my whole entire time here. But it could be good if we can take that intentional journey into unpacking and knowing why we are here. And as I conclude, let me just put it for us to understand. Put it in this manner. Self-discovery being a journey. You move from just knowing your name, I am Rina, so what? And getting deeper to understand what is Rina capable of and how can she go about it so that in the end she would have lived her purpose. So it is a journey that starts somewhere. And I'll put it in this manner. For example, if I'm to take a journey from let's say Nakuru to Mombasa. I want to travel from Nakuru to Mombasa by bus. If I take that journey, there are specific areas that I'll come into contact with before I get to Mombasa. For example, if I start from Nakuru town, the bus will leave that town. At one point I'll get to Gilgil, from Gilgil to Naivasha, from Naivasha to Limuru, depending on the route you use. From Naivasha to Limuru, then from Limuru to Nairobi, from Nairobi, Mlolongo, you go to Machakos, you get to Mtito Andei, you get to Voi, then finally you get to Mombasa. So that is an entire journey, and in that journey there are specific places you've come into contact with. Basically, that is how self-discovery is. When you start that journey of self-discovery, trying to understand why you are here for, like trying to know your passions, your interests, your purpose in life, your convictions, there are those specific parts of yourself you will have to come into contact with, address what has not been addressed, deal with it, then move on. Just as you have to come into contact with these specific places you are traveling from Nakuru to Mombasa. So you will, and of course this part we shall talk about them because it is what makes up the entire self-discovery journey. For example, things to do with self-identity, self-awareness, self-compassion, self-love. These are things that seem so easy to mention, but when you start dealing with them one by one, you realize, wow, there's just so much that probably you didn't know about yourself. And the journey of self-discovery might seem, when people mention it, might seem something easy, but when you embark on that journey, let me tell you, it is something that calls your attention, and it might be difficult, scary, terrifying, but it is very essential. It might be scary because you could be, it could be like your entire life there are things you have never wanted to really acknowledge. There are things you've really never wanted to imagine that really happened to you. So in one or another, you would prefer to live the life that you're living that is not like real. It's not just so real. Yeah. So you would prefer somehow to just live on the basics. But on self-discovery journey, those scary, but we are here to take that trip into ourselves. To take that trip into ourselves and be able to know why, basically, we are here. And with that, thank you for watching and see you on the next episode.